Hey guys, Chef Indian here again, cooking with Indian. And as per my IG, I told you guys I had a lot of cheese to use for my next recipe. So thanks to Sargento for hooking us up with the cheese that we have for today. And as per your votes on IG, we're going to be doing lasagna today. So let's jump right into it. So as you guys could see, we have the layout of all our ingredients here. So we have our minced beef, we have our cheeses. We're using today provolone and shredded parmesan. The provolone I'm using as a substitute to the mozzarella because it gives you the same stretch, but I like the flavor of it. It has a nice little smokiness to it. The parmesan, don't judge me too much on this because I mean, yes, it's readily bagged shredded parmesan, but it's easy for you guys to use and execute at home. I have full cream milk. I have some canned tomatoes here, some fresh basil, some flour, some onions, dried oregano, minced garlic, butter, and this is the important one here. This is readily bakeable pasta sheet. So this one you don't need to boil before you assemble your pasta. I'll show you guys how to use this one, and of course this one is going to make life a lot easier for you guys when you want to execute. It might not be as authentic as you would hope, but I'm giving you all the best and the easiest option to make a really good lasagna. So let's check it. Right, so this is the first part of the whole process. We're going to be dealing with the meat. So I have my pot on high heat now. I put in like about 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil here, and we're going to start off with the onion. So what we're going to do here is we're going to sweat the onion down until it's a bit translucent. And as soon as the onions are translucent, we're going to add the minced garlic. You could use any kind of onion you want. I kind of use the red onion because I think I like a milder flavor. Red onions tend to have a milder flavor than the yellow or the white onion, and I kind of prefer that about it. Well, as you can see, when you're sauteing red onions, they tend to lose the color. They end up looking almost like white onions anyway, but feel free to use whatever onions you want to use. Right. So we have them looking a bit translucent there, so we're going to add our minced garlic here now. And with minced garlic, you don't want to cook it too much because they burn easily. So you get it into this mixture here, you run it about, you mix it nice, make sure it gets into the oil, all the flavor and the fragrance of it starts to permeate very quickly as well, you know. You smell now, Kevin? Alright, so we good here already. So the next step, of course, will be to add the minced meat. And of course, the reason we do use a lot of fat, as I might have said before, I don't know how much of you all might have seen the enchilada story that I did on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago. You don't need plenty fat when you're doing stuff like this because the beef tends to render a lot of fat on its own. So it was basically just to sweat the onions and the garlic, and as we leave this in here and it starts to brown, it's going to start letting off its own juices, its own fat, and you'll see how nice and juicy it is. Now just remember, we're using the pre-cooked, so to speak, lasagna sheets, which doesn't require cooking. So we're going to make this meat a bit saucier than usual to allow it to absorb that moisture and let the pasta sheets cook, right? So I'll show you all what we're doing to ensure that the meat sauce comes out like that, right? So as you guys could see, how much moisture, how much fat has already been rendered from the beef. Let's give it a stir there, but look at that. So all that was moisture inside here. So as long as you leave it on high heat, you will see all the moisture starting to come out of the meat, right? But you just keep stirring it and making sure everything is nicely browned, and then we'll go in with the rest of our ingredients. Right, so while our meat is being browned, I'm going to organize the tomato sauce that's going to go into there. Right, so we put our 3 cans of tomatoes inside here, and we have our fresh basil that we picked. Right, and we're just going to puree this until everything is smooth. The thing about fresh basil is from the time you start pureeing it, you start getting that aroma. It's very, very potent, which is the nice thing about Italian cooking and about basil, because they use basil in a lot of recipes. You know, you get a lot of pestos and stuff like that, and basil is just that really nice, fresh, aromatic type of ingredient that they use in a lot of the things. So this is going to give us a lot of nice flavor inside of the meat. Right, so as you guys could see, the meat has been browning really nicely, a lot of moisture. It's looking pretty good as it is here now. So what we are going to do is add the tomato sauce that we just pureed all in, and we reduce the heat to a lower heat, low medium you could say, and we just give it a nice stir. Make sure it's fully incorporated here. The idea is you want moisture retention. You don't really want to reduce the moisture from the meat itself, because it's going to help in the cooking of the pasta when we assemble the lasagna finally, right? So as we're here, we can now add in our oregano, excuse me. And we start seasoning. So a bit of salt. Now of course the seasoning will always be to your own flavor, your own taste. And a bit of pepper. And this wasn't in my initial ingredient layout, but I have a bit of red pepper flakes, which is something that goes really well with Italian cooking as well. So I mean, if you go to any typical Italian spot, either locally or anywhere in the world actually, you'd get like olive oil, you'd get parmesan, and you'd get red pepper flakes as the additional that you'd get to go along with your food. Reason we put it on low heat as well is because we are allowing the flavors to marry over a longer period of time. So this is going to sit and almost come to a very low simmer, and everything is just going to come together really nicely. It's going to marry, and when it's time to assemble, it's going to taste really, really good. So you can move on to the next step from here and allow this to just sit and cook away. So we're moving on to our next step, which is to make our white sauce or bechamel, right? So we're going to be starting off with a roux. Roux is basically equal parts of butter and flour, and that is basically the thickening agent for the sauce, you could say. Actually is the thickening agent for most sauces, right? So this is how we start this. We melt out our butter here, and then the flour is going to go into this. Alright, so as you can see, now I'm saying this is a bechamel that we're doing, right? But in all technicality, it's not a bechamel because I'm going to be adding parmesan to it, right? So bechamel is what they call mother sauce. If you're familiar with cooking and like Auguste Escoffier and that kind of thing, this is one of the mother sauces that you would learn, right? So bechamel is a basic milk sauce or cream sauce, and when you add cheese to a bechamel, it changes it to a Mornay. So this is actually a Mornay we're doing, but people tend to still call it a bechamel regardless. But you know, just giving you all the history or the actual culinary term of it, you know what I mean? So we're going in with our milk. and we're going to mix this and make sure this becomes fully incorporated as well. And as it becomes fully incorporated, and as the flour and the butter cooks together into the milk, it's going to get really nice and thick, and nice consistency. It's not going to be watery. And I'll show you guys the technique that you would learn to know when your sauce is at the right consistency. We call it napping. So I'll show you guys when the sauce finally reaches that point, how you perform a nappy, and how do you see what is the perfect consistency of your sauce. Alright, so our sauce is coming along, so I'm now going to add a couple handfuls of parmesan in here. And of course we're going to make sure this is fully incorporated into it. I have a spatula here, but I do have a wire whisk on hand as well, so I'll probably switch to the wire whisk just to ensure that it's incorporated properly into the mixture. So as you can see, it's thickening up as soon as the parmesan is added to here. You could see the change in the consistency almost immediately. Could also get that really nice fragrance of the Parmesan cheese as well. Smells awesome. Now I'll show you guys what the nappe is, right? So this is basically up front, this is the consistency of the sauce that you'd be looking for, right? It's nice and thick. The nappe is when you could take a spoon like this and you put it into the sauce. You take a finger and you run it along the back of the sauce. Once you could make a line through the sauce where the remainder of the sauce remains on the spoon like that, that's what you call a nappe. That's how you know that you have the correct consistency of the sauce. So it's nice and thick there, but it's still very fluid, pliable, easy to use, and yeah, that's perfect sauce. Right, so our meat has been simmering on a low fire for a bit, and I gave it a taste and I realized I needed to adjust it a bit, right? So that's the thing about cooking. Cooking, you have to always be on your feet. As I said, some things you're gonna cook, you're gonna have to make it to your own taste, adjust your flavors and stuff like that. So the tomatoes that we use, tomatoes will always tend to have that bit of acidity to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about a tablespoon of brown sugar just to offset that acid flavor. I'm also going to add a bit more salt because I felt like I could have used a bit more seasoning. So we're going to add some more salt here. And I'm going to add a little bit more oregano because I felt like I needed a bit more of a herby punch, so to speak. This is about another 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Right, and we're just going to stir that back in there. And we let it sit for a couple minutes again, low simmer as usual. And as soon as this is done, we'll be ready to start assembling our lasagna. So we have everything here ready to start assembling the lasagna. So I just wanted to show you guys this, right? Whenever you plan on doing this recipe, you're looking for, well, this is the brand that I use. I don't know who distributes this locally, but you're looking for oven ready lasagna. Basically, the instructions at the back of it will tell you exactly how to assemble the lasagna with the sheets, right? But in any case, I'm going to run through that with you in this video here. So you all are going to see how we're going to do that, right? So we have our baking dish here. I'm going to start off by just giving it a little spray, or you could grease it if you want with olive oil. This is just going to make it easier for it to come out, easier to clean as well. It's not going to get too sticky here. And our first layer that we're going to go in with will be the meat sauce. So if you're seeing the meat sauce here, you could tell it's very fluid, very saucy. And we're going to cover the base of the dish with our meat sauce first. Right, I know most of you all might start with the lasagna itself, not for this one, the pasta that is. Right. Alright, so we have a nice layer of meat sauce at the bottom. Then we're gonna go with the sheets. Right, so we just rearrange them here because of course the dish is not the exact size of the pasta, so you have to arrange it so that it fits properly. So I think it's gonna fit a little better like this. Yeah. Right, so as we get that there, we go in with another layer of the meat sauce over this now. Right. I know this might be a bit tedious, but it's all part of it. I mean, it's tedious doing it now like this, but of course when you get accustomed to doing it and you don't really have to reference the recipe, is gonna come like second nature. You're not gonna think about it too much, you're just gonna assemble. Yeah. Right, so we have our layer of meat sauce down here, and now we're gonna go in with the bechamel on top, or the Mornay should I say. Right, if ever you think your Mornay is too thick, you could always add a little bit more milk to it. A nice ingredient to make the Mornay have a different flavor, but very nice as well, is to add a little bit of nutmeg. Gives it a nice little additional spice. I didn't have any nutmeg in the house, so I just decided to do this as it is. Alright, and we just doing a nice layer of bechamel over everything. Then we're gonna go in with our provolone. The parmesan, I wouldn't really put the parmesan inside of it, but I mean, that's up to you. I like the provolone because it's going to give it a stretch on the inside, but I'll put the parmesan to finish off the top of it. Kind of like, you know, if you're doing your regular macaroni pies or stuff like that, you know. Going in, and this is our first layer. And now we're going back with meat sauce again, so it's going to be extremely messy. So if you're looking at this here, you could see the cheese is melting a little bit. The Mornay is getting a bit runny as well. All that is from the heat of both the Mornay and the meat sauce itself. It's compacting inside here, and all of that is what's going to help to cook the pasta as well. Right? And what we're going to do when we start cooking this is we're going to cover it down with foil to let it initially start cooking, and then we're going to let it brown on top. Right? So we're going with our next layer of pasta here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I put the oven to preheat as well while we started assembling this. So the oven has been preheated at 400 degrees, right? So that's a nice high temperature as well. It's gonna cook this fairly quickly. It'll probably take about 30 to 40 minutes in total. Nice quick fix. There we go, that looks really good. I mean, of course, this is like comfort food, but I mean, if you want to do it as a date night thing, could work out perfectly. You know, you get your little wine to accompany this, a nice little red wine. As a matter of fact, we went and bought some wine today, so we'll probably have some of that with this. Probably need to give Claudio a shout to find out what's his take on this. Maybe I should include him in doing some of these recipes, him being Venetian, you know what I mean? I had the privilege of eating at his home, you know, maybe I could get him to do another one of these Italian dishes. I had a really nice fresh caprese salad that his mom made everything that they do is usually home, like straight from home, straight from the garden. Basil, tomato, everything, you know what I mean? That's what we should be doing locally as well, but we get in there. Alright, so as meat layer, we go in again with the Mornay. For the meat, if you found that when you did your meat you didn't have enough liquid in it, you could feel free to add a little bit of water to it, or even a bit of like tomato juice, tomato puree if you have. But the water, you could always add the water will just give it the needed moisture that you would require for cooking this, right? And same for your Mornay. If the Mornay thickens up on you, you could always add some more milk, not water for this, milk for this, right? Because you want to keep that flavor of the Mornay, milky, nice flavor. Alright, we almost done here, guys. Going for our final layer after we put down this provolone. Another thing that should be noted about the Mornay, with a lot of the Italians, when they're doing the white sauce, they would use ricotta, right? I didn't use ricotta because I find ricotta is a bit expensive locally and you don't get them in like bulk portions. But if you decide, well, you know, you want to go all out, go ahead, get some ricotta, make yourself a white sauce. Or there are some other ways to execute the ricotta sauce, because the ricotta already is somewhat liquid. You could actually get recipes to make your own ricotta at home, because it's like curdling milk and it's a basic vinegar type of solution. So let me go in again with our meat sauce. And this is almost to the end here, guys. You can see the finish line. This is going to be really nice and rich and decadent. As I said, if you want to impress some people again, just like the corn pie, this is another way to impress people. Do another house lime. And if you're looking for something to accompany this as well, you could probably do a garlic bread. Maybe I'll do something small for a garlic bread to show you all, you know, a nice garlic bread prep. Right. Have the last of our pasta. Some people like to use a garlic aioli when they're doing garlic bread, but I prefer to do something like garlic butter or olive oil infused with garlic. Makes more sense like that to me. But I mean, whatever tickles your fancy as usual. So, alright, so this is the final here, and we're going back with meat on the top. Yep, as I said, it's going to be a very meaty dish. That's alright. Trinidadians are meat mouths anyway, so I don't think any of you all would be offended by this. Maybe I'll do a vegan version to this as well. I know I have a couple of people have been asking me about doing some more vegan stuff, so I'll probably look into that and sort you all out eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, as especially for Christy. And Christy has always been my tail to do vegan stuff as well. Alright, that's the end of us here. Gonna put a little bit more of this Mornay. As you can see, I'm probably gonna end up with a lot of this remaining, but that's fine. This was a cheap thing to prepare anyway, because it's majority milk and then the butter and stuff, so it's cool. Plus it works out well because it helps to add moisture to the sheets of pasta at the top there. It's gonna cook it through, right? Here you go. And as I said, I wasn't going to use the provolone again on the top of this. What I'll do is use the parmesan instead. So I'll go and do that. Let's give this a nice little swirl to cover up everything. And Parmesan to finish him off. And you'd be surprised how flavorful this in-bag Parmesan is here that I have, because I know plenty of people would opt to buy their Parmesan wheel and shred it for themselves. That's fine as well, go ahead. I mean, it's just a little bit more work to do, but this Parmesan actually tastes really nice. It's very flavorful. And I mean, you don't need to use Parmesan to this either. You could also use pecorino or, you know, some Romano. Nice nutty Italian cheese will do the job. But of course, Parmesan is like the winner. That's typical. It's going to be the thing that they use regularly. It's easily available, so why not use that? It's probably cheaper as well too, so. Right, and we are about finished here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this into the oven. As a matter of fact, what we're going to start by doing is covering this with some foil. So we're going to put some foil over this. We're going to put it in the oven and we're going to leave it for about a half an hour, and then after the half an hour we're going to uncover it and you'll get a look at it then, right? So let's go into the oven. Alright, so foil up, going into the oven now. We'll check it back in about a half an hour. Right, so this is 30 minutes later. We remove the foil on top. Don't be afraid if you see it's a bit messy. It's going to be messy, so just be careful. Remove your foil, get rid of the foil, clean up your dish a little bit, and now we're going to pop it back in for another 5 to 10 minutes just to brown up the top of it. Right, and this is our final lasagna. So you can see nicely golden brown on the top, bubbling, oozing. You know, it's a bit messy, but I think lasagna is supposed to look like that. So I'm gonna cut into it one time. It smells really good. So you can see it's very tender. Pasta is cooked perfectly. Yeah, I feel like it's supposed to be nice and messy like that as well. So right, this is our final product, guys. As you could see, really nice layers, nice and moist, decadent, homey, comforting, everything that you would want from a lasagna. And I think we should jump inside here and take a taste. What do you all think? Let's go. And now let's dig in. So flavors on point. You get all the different layers, the cheese, the Mornay, you get a slight kick of the red pepper flakes. Everything is perfection. Once again, we want to thank our friends at Sargento for providing us with the cheeses for today's recipe. I think I still have some more cheeses remaining there, so I think we're gonna go ahead and do another recipe. You all could probably hit me up on IG again and let me know what is the next recipe you want to see getting done. I mean, I still have some of the ideas that you all gave me. Maybe I'll jump into one of those, but thanks again for checking me out, guys. Hope you guys enjoy this lasagna as much as I do. Give it a try, let me know. Subscribe, like. We out.